Hi, everybody. This is Jordan Katie with Carolina Housing. I am the Assistant Director for Assignments, and today I'm going to walk you through the 25-26 housing application. We're going to show you what the application looks like, how you can add room preferences, create a roommate group, and do a room renewal. We'll have a follow-up video for how to do room selection time slots coming up. So I'm going to log into the My Housing portal. That URL is myhousing.unc.edu, and once I log in, this is my home screen. I'm going to click on Housing Application, and then I'm going to make sure that I click the 25-26 academic year. This is the term for which I'm applying for housing. Once I do that, I hit the undergraduate welcome page. There are several pages throughout the housing application that contain very important information. They're either going to contain things like the housing cancellation policy, the dates for certain pieces, or informational instructions about how to navigate this application. Each page has been carefully written to help you understand exactly what you need to do to submit this application. So you'll want to make sure you read each of them. The first page you'll hit for the 25-26 year application is an acknowledgement of some of the changes that we have for this year. The first piece has information about building availability, so Avery Hall and Craig North, as well as some of the changes and information about the cancellation penalty. We have to read this page and then acknowledge that we've read it and understand the changes, particularly to the cancellation penalty schedule, before we can progress to the next page. Now I'm going to hit a personal information page. This allows me to give some basic information about myself that will sometimes be visible in other places on the housing portal. I have a legal first name that automatically populates, but if I have a different name that I go by, I can also include that here. Then we have some ability to add in contact information. If I put my cell phone number in this box, it's going to show for when I'm assigned future roommates. So if you're okay with us giving out your roommate, your personal cell phone number, you'll want to include that here. If you don't, just leave this blank. There's information here about emergency contact, missing person contact, which we're required to put in, as well as a little bit about the Clery Act in terms of what our rights and responsibilities are. Here we hit a page which has some other important information. One, if you're a student who needs a specific type of space or room modification due to a medical condition or disability, you will actually fill out an accommodations request form through the Equal Opportunity and Compliance Office. Now, if you want to live in housing, you do still have to fill out this housing application, but if you're applying for an accommodation, you'll also fill out their separate process. You can see links to those here. There's also some information that's collected about your preference about potentially living with a service or emotional support animal. And then this is our personal profile. So this is really used in the event that you'd like to use the housing application to search for a new roommate. The first box here is the public screen name. Whatever you put in this box is what students will be able to search for you as in terms of roommate matching. So you want to make sure that you use a recognizable name or share what your public screen name is to your desired roommate so that they can find you. This box here allows you to tell others a little bit about yourself. In the next page, when we talk about roommate groups, there is a search feature where you can look for keywords. So you might want to include recognizable sports, shows, leisure activities, affinity groups, anything that impacts your roommate preferences that you might want someone to know about you if they were looking for a good roommate match. By clicking this box, you become searchable. So you want to make sure that box is clicked if you are in that roommate searching phase. Then we have a variety of profile questions. Some of this information may be saved from a previous application. So if any of these features have changed, you'll want to update them by just choosing a new answer in this drop-down box. But these are some basic questions about living style preferences that, again, the system can use to help match you with a potential roommate. This is an information release page. So Carolina Housing partners with the Residence Hall Association to provide some services and features. If you would like to receive emails about any of these services, such as the fridge purchase or rental program, then by giving us permission to share your information, we will get you on that list. If you don't wish to give us permission, then you would just click no. So this page is one of those informational pages I mentioned earlier. This is the roommate group overview. You'll see that it lists and explains key terms for when we talk about roommates and what it means to be in a roommate group, as well as some frequently asked questions for where this can go wrong and how roommate groups are used within the housing application. You definitely should read everything on this page carefully because filling out a roommate group incorrectly is going to negatively impact you during the process. And we want as many students to be assigned with their preferred roommates as possible. This is the roommate group creation page. This is the page where you're specifically going to create a roommate group if that's how you'd like to proceed through housing, as well as invite students in. So for me, I would like to create a roommate group. I've got somebody in mind, and so I'm going to push create group, and then I'm going to name my group. And create a group password. This password is case sensitive, and it's something that I'm going to share with my potential group member so they can join. So you want to make sure you remember what it is. And then if I want my group to be searchable, so for instance, if I just create a group and I'm open to others asking to join, I would check this box so that my group is again visible in the housing portal. So now you can see I've created a group, but there isn't anyone else in it. It's just me. So if I'm looking for a roommate in particular, I can click search for roommate by details. And if I know that screen name that I talked about earlier for my preferred roommate, I can search for them here. If I don't know, then I can also just search by gender or age. And description, if I use keywords here, will look for potential roommate matches from that personal profile that we wrote earlier. But here, I know exactly who I'm looking for because I know who my friend is. I'm going to go ahead and add them to the group. You'll see here it's an outgoing request. This student does need to also have a completed housing application. They'll need to log on and accept my request. And then once they do that, if we come back to this page, they'll specifically be in my group. This means that there'll be a group of 2 of us. When we scroll down to this page and this giant big red stop sign, we want to make sure that we're not just writing our roommate here. This is a text box that's helpful for Carolina Housing if we end up assigning groups more than 2. So it's telling us that if we're in a group of 3, which 2 students want to be in the same bedroom. But at the end of the day, what matters most is that both users are actually in the roommate group. So we need to see all users up here on this part of the screen, and you're only going to use this write-in feature if you have more than 2. Now we'll hit a room selection overview. Again, an informational page which talks through dates for room renewal, dates for room selection, time slots, as well as, again, answers some frequently answered questions and even gives you a little bit of best practices and strategies for how to navigate the process. This is the room preferences page. This is where I'm able to list the buildings that I'm hoping to select. I use these drop downs and can specify by both building and room type. And I use the blue button to add additional preferences. You need to have at least 2, but you can add up to 10. Now, adding these preferences here does not dictate what is available. It's used to collect data as Carolina Housing looks to see what types of rooms and locations are desirable for students. But in the event that Carolina Housing staff end up assigning students through a waitlist process or late applicants, we'll pull this information and try and match you with preferences based on our availability. If we're applying for housing during the priority window, there is an opportunity for room renewal. This page explains a little bit about that. And as a reminder, room renewal is for students who are assigned to eligible upperclassmen spaces that want to keep their exact same assignment for next year. Students, if you're in this type of space, you're automatically going to hit a page that gives you this option. You can see that I am currently in a space that I'm able to renew. So I've got some good reminders up here that I want to make sure. I'll point out the most important one is that if I want to pull in a roommate, they must already be in my group. Okay, so you saw that I added a roommate earlier. Let's pretend they're in my group. I'm able to go and renew my room and pull us both in. If I hadn't done that step and I select this space, as you see right here, I would not be able to assign them. If they're correctly in my roommate group, There should be a test user 2 here, and I'd be able to assign them to the second bed space. If you're only renewing your room for just yourself, this is all that's necessary. But if you're renewing your room and pulling in other members, they must be in your roommate group before you renew your space. But for right now, it's just me, so I'm going to assign myself to this space. I'm going to confirm this is what I want. Again, on this page, if I had pulled in roommates, we would see that confirmation here. And now I'm all set. I participated in room renewal, so I'm actually not going to participate in housing selection. My process here is almost done. The last and most crucial step of this process is to make sure that I have read and agreed to all aspects of the housing contract and community living standards. We have it linked here for you, as well as a written up text of the housing cancellation penalty. In order to finalize my application and to keep my space or become eligible to participate in room selection, I have to read and acknowledge both of these. I have submitted my contract, and then because I participated in room renewal, I already have an assignment. I am now all set for fall 2025. At the end of the housing contract, there is a drop down here, which allows you to go back to the homepage, or if you're interested in joining a residential learning program, you're able to take a look at those options and apply right after you've applied for housing. So this page is an overview, and it talks through many of the RLPs that we offer here on campus, has links to their websites, and talks about sample events that occur within the RLP.